Uruguay is a small nation with a rich football history. But when we talk about world titles, a question arises that has sparked debates worldwide. How many World Cups does Uruguay have? 2 or 4? To answer this question, we need to dive into the history of world football. Welcome to Goal Globe. FIFA was founded on May 21, 1904. The growing popularity and international competition in football at the beginning of the 20th century made it necessary to create a single body to regulate the sport globally. On the other hand, there was already a football competition in the Olympic Games, organized by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, the entity responsible for overseeing and managing everything related to the Olympics. Football first appeared in the 1900 Paris and 1904 St. Louis Olympic Games, where it was simply an exhibition tournament. It was only from the third edition that football at the Olympics would cease to be just an exhibition. As from London 1908 to Antwerp 1920, the IOC organized a tournament of national teams, although always under the amateurism principle. In 1914, FIFA met with the IOC to deliberate on the future of football in upcoming events. FIFA wanted to control international football, and this led to IOC President Pierre de Coubertin transferring all sporting powers. That is, FIFA would finally have a significant influence in football under the presidency of Jules Rimet. After the 1920 tournament held in Antwerp, Belgium, on March 17, 1921, IOC President Pierre de Coubertin requested the Congress to grant the 8th Olympiad to Paris and the 9th to Amsterdam. As the date of the Olympic Games approached, the international press began publishing headlines referring to the Olympics as the World Football Tournament. For the first time, the IOC would cooperate with FIFA, which would also be a turning point in FIFA's history because it would be in charge of an Olympic football tournament held under its regulations and would recognize these tournaments as World Football Championships. Paris 1924 brought together around 22 teams, uniting countries from 3 different continents, an unprecedented event at the time. The 1924 tournament was a huge success and had more than 60,000 spectators in the final between Uruguay and Switzerland. The South Americans won 3-0 and were received as world champions in Montevideo, earning their first star. The 1928 Olympic Games, as stipulated 7 years earlier, would be held in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Uruguay confirmed what they had achieved 4 years earlier, reaching the final again, this time against Argentina, earning their second star in the Olympics, an event also under FIFA and IOC management, being the last time this would happen. The success of the Olympic Games increased FIFA's desire to have its own world championship. FIFA President Jules Rimet led the fight to obtain the necessary means to achieve this dream. Following a proposal from the Executive Committee, the FIFA Congress on May 26, 1928, held in Amsterdam, decided to organize the official FIFA World Championship for 1930, and thus the World Cup was born, a tournament entirely under FIFA's responsibility. The success of the Olympic tournaments during the 1920s was an incentive for the launch of the FIFA World Cup. But what happened to football in the Olympics after Amsterdam 1928? What happened in the subsequent editions? Well, the next championship would be in Los Angeles, 1932. FIFA tried not to overshadow its new football championship, and coupled with the fact that football was unpopular in the United States, there was no football tournament in the 1932 Los Angeles Olympics. However, it would return in the next edition in Berlin, 1936. But after the start of the first FIFA World Cup, there was a gradual devaluation of each subsequent Olympic football tournament. So, are the Olympics recognized as world championships? The objective and documented answer is yes. Those Olympics were under the supervision of the highest football authority. This fact is indisputable, as it is part of FIFA's history. There are documents and press reports from the time that explicitly recognize Uruguay as world champions in 1924 and 1928. Some say that Uruguay sews 4 stars on its crest out of caprice. This is completely false. FIFA has strict conditions for the inclusion of stars on a national team's crest during a World Cup. Only teams that have won a World Cup or a recognized equivalent can display a 5-pointed star on their crest. The regulations explicitly state that stars can only be added in line with the world titles won, meaning a national team cannot add more stars than they actually have. But we must differentiate between World Cups and world titles. Uruguay does not have 4 World Cups. The FIFA World Cup started in 1930, and strictly speaking, Uruguay has 2, in 1930 and 1950. However, speaking of world titles, this is where Uruguay counts the 1924 and 1928 events. These are not World Cups. They are Olympics that weigh as world titles because they symbolically make you world champions. Furthermore, these are the only Olympic football events under FIFA's supervision. This is why the Olympics before 1924 and after 1928 are not counted. Uruguay has faced many controversies throughout history. It is undeniable that there were periods when those 2 stars, initially legitimized by FIFA, were not recognized. It is a constant struggle that continues to this day. FIFA requested that the 4 stars be removed before the Qatar World Cup, something that was later rectified, and Uruguay was able to display the 4 stars. In the FIFA Museum in Zurich and the exhibition during the Qatar 2022 World Cup, FIFA explicitly recognizes that Uruguay was world champion 4 times. This includes the 2 World Cups of 1930 and 1950, as well as the Olympic titles of 1924 and 1928. FIFA presents these titles in its museum as an integral part of Uruguay's football history, recognizing the historical value of the Olympic competitions before the official World Cup tournament began in 1930. In conclusion, Uruguay is a 4-time world champion, but it does not have 4 FIFA World Cups. It has 2 Olympic Games titles from 1924 and 1928, which at the time were the highest football competitions and were organized by FIFA. Therefore, objectively, they hold the same value as they grant the title of world champion. The other 2 stars are for the FIFA World Cups in 1930, the first edition, and 1950. So Uruguay is a 4-time world champion with 2 Olympic titles and 2 FIFA World Cups. And that brings us to the end of our journey through the history of Uruguay's world titles. We've seen how a small nation managed to carve its name into the elite of world football, not just in 1930 and 1950, but also in the Olympic Games of 1924 and 1928, which FIFA recognizes as world titles. Don't forget to leave your comments on this fascinating debate and share the video if you enjoyed it. See you in the next episode of Goal Globe, where we'll continue exploring the best of world football. Until next time.